Hello, welcome back to the Gamer's Tale, our second episode of Season 3 on our official channel. Unfortunately, none of our other guests hosts are on tonight, but I am at least joined by the lovely Cheyenne. Tonight we'll be talking over, of course, Star Wars, because of all the stuff that's in the news. A few mentions of Rainbow Six, new updates on For Honor, and why in the world is everything online these days? Why? I don't get it. So, without further ado, a few bit of things in Star Wars news. Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes, if you've played it, if you haven't, it's a turn-based strategy game based off of the Star Wars universe, has finally nerfed one of their challenges, which was that you go up and fight the AAT. It's a droid tank, and you have to fight Grievous in there. My brother, who actually plays it, said they spent like a month just trying to get through Grievous, and it was really, really terrible, and people complain a lot. So Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is more user-friendly now because they have removed the difficulty that was the tank challenge. It's now easier, people can go through it more, and they can get more loot, for lack of a better term. In other news, of course, Carrie Fisher and her mother have died, and that really sucks for Star Wars in general and life in general. We'll talk more about Star Wars and what we hope to see coming up later on in the show. If you play Rainbow Six Siege, you'll probably known by now that they have buffed Lord Tachanka. So if you haven't played as him before, or you probably have, maybe try him out again. He may be better. I don't know. I haven't played, so you'll have to let me know what you can do on our Facebook page, The Gamer's Tale. In addition to all of these fabulous things, we have news on For Honor, the game that I am looking forward to like a small child to Christmas, which I don't keep. But For Honor is going to be free downloadable content for the entire life of the game. How awesome is that? Think of how many games that are out there that don't have free downloadable content. Most of them. They also are going to have lifelong support of the game as well. In addition to this, there's one weird thing that I find about it, is that even the single player for Honor is going to require a high-speed internet connection. Since that's really our first topic, why does everything seem to need an internet connection now? And a side topic into this, why are open worlds where everyone's thrown into the same area gaining popularity? Such games as, what's it called? Watch Dogs 2. So if Cheyenne has anything to add on this, we can get started on the discussion.
I don't have a ton of thoughts on that. I'm not really pleased with the amount of games that have moved to online because, quite honestly, there's no point to move to online, especially when it's a single-player game. But if that's the way that games are heading, then I guess that's that.
There was a couple things earlier on in the industry a couple of years ago that it was stated that developers have been wanting to get away from the physical discs for games and want to go entirely to download from online. The only problem was that the article brought up that I had read was not everyone has extremely fast internet. Some of these games have literally gigabytes of downloadable material. I think the latest download for The Division was 50 gigabytes. I have decently fast internet connection, allows me to do this. That would take me probably a day of not doing anything online to get that all done. I don't mean like a day cycle. I mean literally 24 hours, because I get about, at best, 3 gigs an hour, and that's when I'm sitting there watching it download and not really do anything. So there's the ease of economy where they just have to make the game and put it available so people can get the CD key and put it down on a computer. They don't have to go to the store, so that's great for people like me who like to be antisocial and not go out and deal with people. So there's that, but then there's the whole thing of not everyone can afford or wants to have internet that is going to be able to burn the paint off of their car is so fast. And then there's areas where it's not even available.
Right. And I know even if it's not an internet issue, I know when I first started using Xbox One, they are moving, like you said, from the discs to the actual downloadable games. And that's okay. But I mean, you can't borrow and try out games, and things like GameFly aren't going to exist anymore. Um, which again is okay. I think it's just kind of another way for them to sell more copies. So really, it just boils down to money.
Most of these things that we do talk about do boil down to money and the economic factors within it.
True.
Yeah, but it takes. This is actually hedging the console franchise out of the market, because one of the great things about console was that it was considered plug and play. I buy a PS4 and I buy a disc for Honor or whatever. I pop it in, it's ready to go. I can play as much of it as I want. If it were like the mid 2000s, with any game that I have 3 feet from me from my PlayStation, I can get it in there. I can just put it. I can play a full content game. I can have a great time. And some of them are, even if I had it connected to the internet, I could play online. But now that we're moving away from actual discs, it's more like, why shouldn't I just join the PC Master Race? I just spend all my money on a computer, and I just get all the games for that. It's got better response times, better graphics, better pretty much everything except for a few really good franchises that are out there. And is it really worth me getting a console? Yeah, consoles are advancing to a point where they are very similar to high-end desktops. But I can technically do more with the desktop, at least from my perspective, than a PS4. Because, well, yeah, I can plug and play the disc games, but if we move away from discs and it doesn't have as many variety as they have, like with The Last of Us. I know Kieran, if he were here, would be totally drooling over that subject because it just come out and it is a very good game series with a very compelling story. It may cause people to move away from our classical game providers of Sony and Windows or Microsoft with the Xbox games. And I really haven't seen much of anything that really draws people to Xbox anymore. It's been Sony, or actual PC games coming out with Dead by Daylight, with new games such as For Honor. For Honor seems to be like it's going to be the best on a controller because of the combat that's involved. But I just feel like it's like we're in the waning days of console. Now that I think about it, because I can get graphics cards out the yin yang. They're fabulous and can probably build me a flying carpet if I knew what I was doing. Compared to, first of all, you get a mouse, you have a keyboard, you can chat, you can do all sorts of other things, but with console, I have to get, I hate that. Dead sneeze. With console, I have to get controller. I have to get something to recharge the controller. I have to get the actual device itself. I have to buy the games, and I have to get something for make it easier to chat with, and headset, all that things. It can still be applied to a computer. What's the difference? Oh, I mean, I already have a chat board. Today I was playing Fistful of Frags, and I found that very fun. But I was having a good time. I was playing on a computer. I didn't need to buy the disc because it was free. All I had was one download, maybe a couple updates, and I had a fully fledged game. Why do we need consoles anymore?
Well, I mean, everything's sort of moving to the internet anyways. Streaming. No one goes to Blockbuster's already dead. Redbox is going to be dead before too long. Um, Even with things like crazy things, like a lot of auditions here in LA are moving to online, and I think that part of that just has to do with the technological time that we're in. And the thing about Xbox too is I know, like, I've never really loved Xbox. I just happened to I stumbled upon it. But the thing for Xbox that drew a lot of people to it was the motion games. And that probably doesn't apply to like the hardcore games like Call of Duty or The Last of Us or anything like that. But even that, there's not a whole lot of games that are built where the person is the controller and the motion sensing anymore, right? I mean, that's kind of gone. It's gone more to graphics and all that, hasn't it?
Well, it has died a little bit.
Yeah.
And that really, what was 2010 when that first started to come out? They 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 were competing with Wii, which was like the last thing Nintendo has ever done that was
Right.
really competitive. So we had Xbox with the motion sensitive things. Then also they had it for PS3, and they might still have it for PS4. But everything now, all the rage is the virtual reality games.
Right.
So, well, I really don't want to do that. I like being able to say, okay, I'm not actually I'm not in the game. But one of the things that really drew us to Xbox in the beginning was Halo.
Right.
And that revolutionized the first person shooter genre, because it was the first one where you had a map and you had people going around shooting each other. We think of this as common fare now with all Star Wars Battlefront and Medal of Honor, which has since died out, Call of Duty, and any number of games. It was the start of it. Microsoft was one of the first ones that actually delved into this 3D-esque first-person shooter and created a very long-lived video game series in Halo. And until recent years, Halo had been like the gold standard for online first-person shooter combat. Now, it's Call of Duty and Battlefield. And soon, depending on your style of play, it would also be Rainbow Six Siege. So the three main titles today for the first-person shooter are COD, Battlefield, and Rainbow Six. With Rainbow Six and Battlefield being more of the heavily competitive ones. Then there's also Counter-Strike and CSGO, which I think is still Counter-Strike, which people play because they're free.
I don't know. I mean, I've never been big on those games, but I know that was a huge draw for Xbox, and now that's I don't know. I feel like it's kind of lost its appeal to a lot of people. Maybe that's totally an ungrounded thing to say, but I don't know. I mean, with virtual reality, you're going to lose a lot of good classic games and first-person shooter and things like that, I think. But
you might. One of my favorite YouTubers, Dougie, the Reverse Pro Gamer, out of Scotland, I think he is. He played, I think it was Battlefield 1 with the VR headset. So
really, I would just I can't handle that much motion. I like virtual reality, but I think that would be too much for me. I don't know, and maybe that would cause a loss of some audience. People that don't like me, they don't like the motion. Like, I like the virtual reality, but I can't handle like.
Can't handle I'm actually on there. Oh my god.
Yeah, like that's too much turning, and no, can't do it.
Either way, they're starting to build. You can buy machines like $50,000 though, that allows you to be in a virtual reality helmet. They put a harness on you, and you can actually run around in the game. And it's got a treadmill for you and everything.
That's insane.
It is. It's like, we're getting to the part where I think it was very similar to like Back to the Future, where they have the virtual reality thing. It's like
yeah.
we can go anywhere, and it's like all the science fiction movies are coming true.
Kind of scary.
Why? It is kind of scary.
It's very freaky. No, I read, this is like totally unrelated, but just in light of science fiction movies coming true, there's been several articles lately that I've read that say there's going to be robot-human marriages by 2050, if not before.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yeah, I was like, do you want Terminator? That's how you get Terminator.
It's not more Terminator. It's more like the show Humans, where they
I haven't
have.
seen that.
I think it's a British show. It has what they call synths, which are synthetic humans, very similar to Fallout's synths, only much better in the overall. You actually can tell that they look more human than C-3PO with skin on him.
Right.
But it's like there's several other things where it's like not really acceptable for me to put on the air. It's like, oh, you can also have this online as well. It's like with a robot and other things. It's like, that I don't really want to marry a robot. I don't want to buy this weird product that involves a robot and other things. It's like, I just want to have an internet connection. I want my console. I want my first-person shooter. I want to go online and randomly fight other people in historic battle zones. And I grew up on stuff like that. I enjoy that. So all these moves, all these things, yes, they will open up the market for more people to join, and that's the glories of the age we live in. But there's also going to be, like you said, a moderate disenfranchisement of classical gamers, I guess you would say, like me, who grew up with the brick of a Game Boy and all these like really terrible graphics that are only slightly better than Minecraft.
Right.
When you think about it, it's like.
But I mean, it's like, that's the thing. Like, Pac-Man will always be fun. Tetris will always be fun. Galaga will always be fun, and it's not because it's got amazing graphics, but just it's a classic game, and there's just something about that. And I think that's kind of how people will feel about, first-person shooter and all that when everyone kind of moves to virtual reality. But I think it's good in a way. I think it's, like you said, it's interesting that they're kind of changing directions, and it opens the door for more people to join. But at the same time, it's not going to be, I don't think it will ever be as popular as, the classic games.
Well, either way, this is just a side note to show you how great the classic arcade games were. Facebook has added ability to play classic arcade games in the chats. So you can like challenge people to play. The first time it was up, one of my British associates, like, we're doing this whole group chat of us just playing these games over and over, trying to one up each other with all the points. And the games was Pac-Man. It's like, my brother and I used to play Pac-Man all the time because we had crap internet, and we didn't really have much of anything else before we got this PlayStation in 2008. So we had like 8 years of those classic games on 4 floppy disks. Put those in there, and we get to like, I think it was like level 500 or something. It was up there on Pac-Man, and it's like I'm playing Pac-Man. Everyone else is like they're getting like 2,000 to 3,000 points and stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna dig down and I'm gonna get my classic Pac-Man on, and I get in there, and I get like 10,700 some odd points easily, and it's only one level. And I do it so easily. One of the other people in the channel is like, I'm in denial. I don't want to. You used hacks. It's like, oh my goodness, that meme's coming true.
Oh gosh. It's Pac-Man. It's Pac-Man. It's not too difficult to play, I don't think.
Oh yeah. was it in the late 80s, early 90s, Doom came out, and that was like one of the first-person shooters. And the Doom franchise, I don't know if it's going strong today. I know it's getting a reboot at some point, or has already received a reboot.
Mhm.
So pretty much the whole thing about nothing new under the sun, it's like we're always recycling our technology. And I'm now suddenly reminded that there was going to be I think they did release it. There was a TV show or a movie about all the classic games coming to life, and it was
Pixels?
going to be about Tetris. It's like, why? How are you going to make a movie about Tetris?
I don't know. People are being squished by blocks falling from the sky. That's not
I was
that
watching
exciting.
A video review by Life of Boris on 35 on the game called 35 millimeter, and he said it has a plot line more linear than Tetris. It's like, wow, that must be a really craft plot line then. But I'm intrigued because I want to see it now.
Right.
How is this terrible so much? But anyway, check out Life of Boris if you want a decent Eastern European hilarity to ensue. But anyway, let's talk about. I think we probably beat this horse to death so much already, but let's move on to Star Wars.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's like, oh no, I'm ready for Star. Oh, Cheyenne, would you like to continue about talking about the
It's
economic
Star Wars.
impact?
How Kylo Ren and Rey are not romantically attracted to each other at all.
No, this is actually reports have stated that Carrie Fisher, before her passing, had finished all of her work on episode 7. Not episode 7, episode 8? Episode 8. So we've got that covered. There probably is going to be multiple tributes to Carrie Fisher in Star Wars at the time, in the movie, and having her most likely viciously blown up at one point between episode 7 and episode 9.
Right.
Where does that leave us for episode 9? What do you think they will? Well, we already know what they're going to do. They're going to plausibly kill her off.
Well, right, because they have to. You know.
Well, they had CGI Leia in Rogue One.
Did they really?
Yes, they also had young Leia, and they also had computer-generated Moff Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. I have not seen it. This is all the things that are floating around the internet,
Right.
but it's like, I mean, we already know where Rogue One is going.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, I was on Facebook the other day, and I was like, I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. I like it, but I'm not diehard. And I was laughing so hard because someone posted something about, like, I liked Rogue One. Finally, the hero dies at the end of the movie with the villain. And people were, like, freaking out. They're like, well, how could you do that? Why would you put this spoiler on Facebook? Like, that's so rude. And I was, like, this close to typing, like, if you had paid even the smallest attention, you would have realized it was the prequel to 4. And if you watch 4, you know what happens in 3. Like, it kind of bothered me. But I don't know where I was going with that.
I can understand why people don't want to know the how of how they get to from the beginning of Rogue One to episode 4. But it's like, okay, is it going to be cool? I knew almost the entire plot line to episode 7 before I was forced to watch it. And it's like, there's a difference being told what happens and what takes place and seeing it.
Right.
Despite the fact that it was on this 15-inch little screen that I was watching it on, it's like, it was still fantastic. It was enjoyable. Everyone who's watched the previous episodes probably knows how much I will gripe continually about episode 7. And I know I Cheyenne by saying that there's probably most likely a relationship between Kylo Ren and Rey.
You're evil. You are so So evil. Well, okay. Supposing there is a relationship between the two of them.
It's obviously incestuous because they're twins.
No, they're not.
That's one of the common theories from episode 8, because Kylo Ren is obviously based off of Darth Caedus from the Legacy series, and he had a twin, and they were Han and Leia Solo's children. So if they take as much as they have from the character and put it into Kylo Ren from Darth Caedus, he most likely has a twin sister, and it is most likely Rey, and Rey will most likely end up killing Kylo Ren.
So, see, and that's just like, if they are twins, that's such a repeat of Luke and Leia. Like, we've already done that, and and it was a good spoiler when nobody knew what it was, but now that it's been around for 30 years, like, it's, you know?
That was another one of the things that they had for the theory. It's like, okay, since almost everything that they did in episode 7 was episode 4.
Right.
People thought, you know what, it's probably going to continue again with Luke and Leia. And don't get me wrong, Disney did a fantastic job with the graphics and the ads and the continuance of Star Wars. I'm not going to blame them. There's more Star Wars out there. It's not the stuff that I would prefer to have seen, especially in regards to the extended universe. But hey, I'll take what I can get. Oh, Disney is like taking all the stuff that I liked from the extended universe and all the stuff that's actually pretty decent, because there was at least some stuff, and I know I'm sounding like Kieran right now because he rants about this crap all the time. But then it's like, oh, we're just putting a new strip of paint on it, and we made this. It's like,
right.
I know where you're coming from. You didn't make it, but it's now Disney stuff. It's very similar to what they did with all their princess stories. Like, based off of the extremely gory Grimm's fairy tales, they made a nice children acceptable or family acceptable version of those, copyrighted them, and then claimed them as their own.
Right.
Cheers to you, Disney, for your great legal acumen.
See, and I mean, I like Disney. I am a pretty big Disney fan.
I grew up on the movies.
Right.
There was very few movies that I had on VHS. If you don't know what that is, you are too young for me. That were by Disney. It's like there was Toy Story.
You're like such an old guy right now. VHS.
Sometimes the stuff that I talk about is like, did I grow up in the 40s? No, I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. But damn
back in my day,
if it doesn't sound like I'm a crotchety old man telling you to get off my lawn, I am failing.
Oh gosh, yeah, man, I loved VHS. VHS was the bomb.
If we could find a way to get VHS capabilities of I pause it and I don't have to rewind it, and it automatically we already have automatic rewind, but get that in a electronic medium. I know it kind of is like that with YouTube because it stops and I can come back to it, a video that I'm watching, if I do it correctly, however that works. And yeah, you're right, VHS was awesome.
It was like, I mean, you could throw it and it'd be fine.
It depends how hard you threw it.
Well, okay, I didn't throw very hard, and I was typically throwing it on the ground on blankets.
No, it was amusing. In one of the games I used to play, HeroScape, we would actually build the little battlefields, and we actually had a big old honking video camera, and we like videotaped all the stuff. And I took some old VHS that we had to use in the camera, and it's like, okay, we don't really need this anymore. I put some Scotch tape over prevents it from being recorded everything. We used it to record over. It's like, you can't really do that with a CD effectively today. It goes to one of my favorite things. Like, a lot of the older technology that we think of as primitive seems to work better than a lot of the cutting edge technology we have today. It irritates me, but it amuses me at the same time.
I don't know. It is what it is. I like DVDs. I do, but
Oh yeah, DVDs, downloadable things, stick drives, all those things. They're really great for storing the massive amounts of data.
yeah. But I mean, even like, I'm not a big graphics person, and even Blu-ray, I know Blu-ray's better, but for me, it's not enough to spend the extra, what, $20 a movie? Like,
I
it's
thought
it's
Blu-ray
just not.
kind of died. It's like
I mean,
I knew there was like Blu-ray was the thing back in
oh wait,
2006.
yeah.
It's like, oh, you can get Blu-ray DVDs. They're fantastic. It's like then they had also had the PS Vita, the handheld Game Boy knockoff,
Yeah, that didn't last long.
and it had like 10 games on it, and they had like the blue whatever it was thing you could put in it, and you could watch that stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
that died like 3 years after it was made, and
I felt like it was like 6 months.
everyone moved on. It's like except for my cousin and I, who were like still stuck in the 90s. It's like, oh, this massive technology. Now everyone does all the stuff that it does on their phone.
Right.
It's like,
It really, like, technology's progressed pretty quickly, because even before 2005, we didn't have Facebook. I don't think Twitter was even around then.
no,
But yeah,
it was Facebook then Twitter.
Facebook and Twitter. So like from, I don't know, '05 to now, so the past 10 years, I feel like it's moved faster than
Faster than humanly possible.
I can't.
Let's put it to you this way. I used to write letters, handwrite letters to my cousin. And I used to write emails to people. Now I do it all on Facebook.
It's handy though.
It is handy.
It's so handy.
But it just shows how dated we are. It's like, despite the fact that we're in our early 20s.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're the OGs of the next generation. I don't know. It's like kids these days.
That's how I feel. That is how.
Where's my prune juice?
So old and ancient. Well, I mean, we are the last, set of young adults that have grown up without technology. I mean, my sister, she just turned 15. She's had Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Like, she's had it her whole young adult life. And I mean, when I was her age, I had a plug and play, and maybe I had my DS Lite at that time, but that was it. I mean, like, it's just very strange to me that everyone from here on out is born into technology and we kind of weren't,
Yeah, it's kind of amusing. I had a good friend of mine who's like one of the grandmothers I never had. She remembers growing up without electricity.
Oh, hell no.
It's like, oh yeah, we didn't have lights, and then we had lights, then we had the telephone, and we also got indoor plumbing too. It's like, wow.
Yeah, no.
Just to give you a bit of how weird it can be with how fast mankind has progressed.
Mm-hmm.
My great grandfather was born 20, 30 years. Either was born or died 20, 30 years after the American Civil War.
Okay.
So his son, one of his sons, had a son who had me.
Okay.
So I think he was like, he either died in 1895, so he died 100 years before I was born. And one of his offspring was still alive at the time I was born and died in the 2000s. So it's like, we think, oh man, that's like ancient history.
But it's
when we
really
think
not.
about some of the things, it's like, oh yeah, you had someone related to you that grew up during these events and during this level of technology where you're like, how could they survive with such primitive tools?
The dark times. I would not have survived. I joke all the time. I tell my dad, like those, dystopian movies, or I can't say that word, but like in the future where everyone like lives in concrete jungles and like everything's electric and there's robots and there's no greenery anywhere. I'm like, I would volunteer to live in that. Like, I'm totally okay with that. I like technology. Like, I'm good with it.
I thought you were talking about it's like concrete jungles, everything's destroyed. There's no like grass and plants everywhere. because that was like I'm watching a series called Desert Punk, and that's pretty much what it is. It's like
yes, I would like to live where there's no Wi-Fi, please. Just thanks. Yeah, no. No, I would like the whole. What I'm trying to think of what movie that would even be like. What's that Tom Cruise? iRobot, Minority Report, that kind of thing. Like, I'm good with it. I don't. Totally cool.
See, this is why Star Wars appeals to people, because you have Coruscant, which is cities from pole to pole on the planet.
Sure.
Then you have places like pre-retconned Mandalore, where you have maybe a place that's kind of like Detroit, dumped in the middle of a lush forest, prairie land with weird deserts and stuff. So you had Tatooine, which was completely and utterly desolate, like the Southwest United States. And it's like you had the great thing about Star Wars is that it can appeal to everyone. It has all the necessary settings that you could wish for in a good story, or places where people live where you could somewhat identify with them. It's like, I live out in the middle of nowhere. Luke and I probably be like this, because despite the fact that I have more grass than he does, it's like, yeah, we're out. There's no civilization for like a good distance on foot.
Right.
Anyway, still, I think we went off on a tangent. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Star Wars, so I feel like we're still.
We're still
it's okay. Yeah, but
I would like to see what they do in the next 2 to 3 Star Wars movies, because I think they're going to have a Han Solo prequel movie. There there's rumors of, or at least a desire for, a Boba Fett standalone movie, and possibly even a Lando Calrissian standalone movie.
I was told, because my brother loves Star Wars, that the Boba Fett movie was shut down. For whatever reason, they stopped production. Like, it was in pre-production, and then they just, like, called it off.
That's happened with so many Mando-themed things, because Boba Fett 1313, a great video game that like tells you how young Jango Fett, or how young Boba Fett became Boba Fett, got shut down like when it was like half done with the game. And for some reason, despite the fact that fans like me and like the Mandalorians, Mercs Guild, and all these people love characters like Boba Fett and Cat Bane and the whole Mandalorian psyche, that just keeps getting shut down. Yeah, they throw us a few bones in Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, but they focusing on what most people got steeped into the Mandalorian culture was the bad side of Mandalorian culture with the Death Watch. In the books that really shaped my love of Star Wars, which were the Republic Commando series, Death Watch was like the worst terrorist organization you could ever imagine. And it's like, you spit on them any chance you got, and you make sure they never came back. But then they take on like one of the major roles in Star Wars: The Clone Wars and in Star Wars Rebels. It's like, oh, fantastic. And then all the Lego minifigures are like, oh, they're all Death Watch. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to buy these because they're Mandos, and I'm going to play with my little figurines over here.
You're going to play with your figurines? Okay.
Do you want me to get them? They're in that room.
I don't know. Do you want to play with your figurines on a live broadcast?
No. But there's another guy I know. He's also really into the Mando stuff, and he buys the figurine, the Lego minifigures. Just like, there's a desire, there is a market. Why do they keep yanking our chain? Like, hey, there's going to be a movie. Oh no, my personal opinion is that
Yeah.
supposedly a lot of the stuff with the Mando thing is very, very gritty, bloody, and they're space Spartans. It'd be like 300 in space.
Hey, I would watch that. I would.
Yeah, the abs would be so impressive. You'd have to watch it.
Oh god.
But I think with how well Rogue One has been doing so far, and it was supposed to be a grittier, darker Star Wars, I think that maybe we should be happy if they start getting progressively darker with the movies, because that would make it better for us to get maybe some Boba Fett things, maybe some more Mandalorian themed things, maybe some Yuuzhan Vong action.
I want to see a General Grievous movie. That's all I want. That's all I want from Star Wars. Just that.
A prequel when he was not a fleshbot, or when he... Yes.
A prequel. Or you could do one where he is a fleshbot and then do flashbacks to when he was...
Whole.
Yeah.
Not just a heart and eyes and brain.
Because he's a freaky, cool, interesting character, and I think they could really expand on that.
He was if memory serves, he was like a freedom fighter on this planet until he got caught up in an explosion that killed his girlfriend. It's like the extended universe had a really huge, rich history for like all the characters, and it was like, oh no, we don't like that. We're gonna rewrite that. It's one of the things that really reasons why I can't really get into Star Wars Rebels. One is that it's on TV, and I decide not to watch TV a lot. But the other thing is they've introduced a backstory for Wedge Antilles, one of the main fighter pilots in Star Wars, but it's entirely different from what was the extended universe backstory for him. They combined two different characters, and now they're going to make pretty much an entirely different character out of Wedge Antilles.
Right.
Because it kind of made sense, at least from my perspective, the way they portrayed Antilles. He's the moderately reckless, highly skilled fighter pilot of the Rebel Alliance, and the background for him in the EU was his family's killed by pirates. He really didn't give a crap about either the Empire or the Rebel Alliance until, while he's like working around these side jobs, until the Empire raids his place, and then he sees maybe a few months later them wipe out an entire village of innocent people, and then he decides to join the Rebel Alliance. It's like, that makes a lot of sense, especially when you think about New Hope, where one of the iconic scenes is they blow up Alderaan.
Right.
That makes a lot more sense with the background that the EU gives him, rather than he once was a TIE fighter pilot for the Empire. See, they already had that in the EU. That was for Tycho Kelchu.
Right.
And he was decent. He was as good as, if not slightly better than Wedge. And his wife was on Alderaan at the time he got blown up, while he was on the phone with her.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's why he joined the Rebel Alliance. So the ability of Star Wars, there were some very good writers for Star Wars, especially in the books. Sure, some of them kind of sucked. I will admit that. I hated the end of the Legacy series. It's like whoever wrote it was like, you know what? This is the end. I really don't really care about my job. The characters are portrayed entirely differently than they have in the entire previous 8 books.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. But in addition to this, I feel, while Disney is doing a good job with continuing on the Star Wars line with the movies, I feel that they're just taking all the extended universe, recycling it, but twisting it in a way that kind of doesn't really do justice to this original medium.
Here's the thing, though. Like, part of it is they have to scale it down for film because they can't do, 2,500 different solo movies for all the characters.
Sure.
And then how many of the Star Wars fans, even like the diehard Star Wars fans, how many of them have actually read the books? I think you're probably the only one I've ever met. And I have two uncles who love Star Wars, and I don't think they've read the books either.
But because Lee's read the books.
Lee has read the books?
Lee's read the books. Lee's read the same books, and he agrees with me that it's like they are some of the best Star Wars books out there that you'll ever read. The guy who buys the Lego figurines, he's read the books. It's like 3 to 4 other people, some of them who are actually really close with some of the authors, are in my general sphere of knowledge. It's like a lot more people seem to have read the books, at least in my sphere, they have in yours. It's like, how can you not know about these?
I don't know. I haven't. My brother might have read 1 or 2, but I know for sure he didn't read like the whole series of anything. But I don't. You look dumbfounded. You look like confused there.
Sorry, I'm like checking other things, and then
okay, all right.
So I look at other things. But it's like, what? It's like, I guess, well, film has gotten to the point where I'm probably, if I watched the original trilogy, I would cringe at how cheesy all the effects were.
But that's what made it so good.
I know, but I've probably seen A New Hope less than a handful of times, but it shaped me in such a way. It's like, yeah. And I've seen bits and pieces of the prequels. The only one that I actually think I've really seen all the way through was Episode 3 and Episode 7, but that technically doesn't count because that was recently.
I really liked, and I know a lot of people hate this one, but I loved Episode 1. That's always been my favorite. Like, and I don't know why.
Liam Neeson.
Actually, I really liked. I can't say his last name, but Ian or whatever McGregor.
Ian McGregor.
Yeah, I thought he was the shiz as a child. I thought he was so cute.
I'm gonna need to tag you in something that you will find very amusing.
Okay, tag away.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah. What else have we?
Talked about.
I'm going to be very interested to see where they go in Episode 9 after Fisher's last performance.
Right.
I'm certainly excited to find out what happens after Episode 7. But I'm going to say I'll probably see them. We'll probably see all 3 of them: Rogue One, Episode 7, Episode 8. I'll probably see them all sometime in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the rate at which the stuff goes for me.
Slow.
Yeah.
Well.
By the way, Cheyenne,
Mm-hmm.
I'm tagging you. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. That's the wrong Cheyenne.
That would be. You know another Cheyenne?
I know it. It's they're part of the page because I actually posted this one. And anyway.
Here we go. Okay, I'm looking it up right now. Can I show this on the camera? Because this is big.
Oh yes.
Let me see if is that readable.
Obi-Wan Kenobi equals Jedi sex symbol. Yes, master, indeed.
Oh yes, I'm gonna like that. I needed that in my life.
Share it around. Spirit.
I can never look at Star Wars the same way again. Thank you.
I thought that happened after you saw Spandau Vader.
No.
Oh, come on. You can't honestly tell me you don't remember Spandau Vader.
Wait, which one is that in? Wait.
Oh, you're getting tagged now.
Just tag. Like, as soon as you tag me, I'll be like, oh, yeah. But right now, it's not.
Oh, man. I got to plug Diary of a Sith Chick for that one. They partnered with someone to share that. All the credit is given by DSC to them. It is a masterfully done edit job.
Masterfully.
Masterfully. Come on. Show me more.
This has turned into Trent shows Cheyenne memes for an hour that are kind of related to Star Wars.
Oh, they're entirely related to Star Wars. Since we are nearing the end of our program, and that means you actually get to escape from here, I'm going to have to say goodbye. We'll catch you next week. Hopefully we'll have more people on and more shenanigans will ensue. And more news that is of a less depressing quality will be there. So cool music plays as the lights go down, and we'll catch you next week.